Will it be Karlos Nasar or will it be Dayin who claims the throne? From 2009 to 2021, Liu Xiaojun has been the king of the 77 kilo and 81 kilo weight category. Out of the 10 World Championships and Olympic Games that he's competed in, he's won 5 World Championships and 2 Olympic Games. And in fact, he's totaled 370 kilos at 9 of those 10 competitions. The one he didn't was because he bombed out. But Liu Xiaojun is not going to be at the World Championships this year. He and the rest of the A team are being given a well-deserved rest, while the B team takes their place. And also at the age of 37, that now gives a real chance for someone new to come into this category and kick him out. Make it so that he can't really return. There are, I think, 2 lifters at this World Championships who may do that. I'm not going to talk about Nino Pizzolatto because he's competing at 89 at this World Championship, so he clearly is in the mix. I'm going to talk predominantly about the Bulgarian 17-year-old Karlos Nasar and Liu Xiaojun's successor, Dayin. Karlos Nasar from Bulgaria has not yet totaled 370 kilos. He has totaled 369 kilos, but at age 17, he is perhaps the most mysterious. Not only do we know very little about his training, except for a few kind of leaked lifts, but also he's from Bulgaria. And so because of that, he gets a little bit more scrutiny than a lot of the athletes who are lifting similar numbers from countries who we as fans deem to be cleaner, which isn't really fair, but we do that. I'm going to try and not do that in this episode and just talk about him as though he's from a country that hasn't historically been riddled with drugs, and just treat it as a person in that weight category hitting these numbers. At the European Championships just 6-7 months ago, Karlos Nasar turned up and he set a new European junior record in the snatch at 163, and then a European record, senior record in the clean and jerk at 206, 1 kilo below Liu Xiaojun's senior world record. In training just recently, he went 175-210. That 175 equals the world record. The 210 is 3 kilos over the world record. Let's take a look at those lifts now. So this looks to have been at a national competition. And it is unbelievable. 175. Third attempt, he gets 3 white lights. I don't know what he hit before that. So again, this equals the world record. He probably weighed potentially a little bit heavy. And the difference really between Karlos Nasar or Sturi on Instagram and Dayin is just the difference in strength is kind of how it looks. I mean, the pull from Karlos Nasar looks a lot more laboured, a lot more difficult. He is faster under. He does have to catch things deeper in a way that we don't really see from Dayin. But with that said, he has that typical Vanev, Bulgaria style aggression and speed that only comes from hundreds and thousands of maximal effort attempts every single day, week, year. Let's take a look at this 175 one more time. This is spectacular. Obviously, back in the 77 category, Liu had hit this. In fact, he'd hit 2 kilos more than this at 177 is where he rounded out his best snatch. But that snatch right there is pretty unbelievable. He then went ahead and hit 210 kilos on 2 separate occasions. Here's one of those videos now that we can look at. And again, you see a similar thing. Obviously, this is an enormous weight. We haven't seen Dayin clean this from the floor, though we have seen him clean more than this from the high hang. But everything about that lift here is both amazing and difficult. In fact, the jerk is the one thing that I think looks the most comfortable of all of his lifting here. The pull, as you can see, is slow. He jumps forward, his knees come in, very Hassan Palaku, very tough to stand up. But then once he's up there and he regathers his breath, he's enormous in the upper body. He's got a huge shelf. And that jerk there, that catch in the split, let's just go back to it very quickly. This position here is wonderful. Obviously, he's tight roping, but it just doesn't matter. It's a world record. It's an incredible lift. And also, he's just so well balanced there between his front and back leg. Lockout was wonderful. There's going to be no problem with press outs. Touch wood now. But yeah, an amazing lift from Karlos Nasar. And if you can put those together, 385, nobody in the world can beat that. So that's exciting. Over now to Dayin, who is Liu Xiaojun's sort of natural successor. We've been talking about him for a few years taking over. We all thought that maybe he would do so in Tokyo, but he hadn't quite earned his stripes. He wasn't as consistently good as Liu. He wasn't able to hit quite the high levels of the 370 totals as Liu Xiaojun, so he didn't get it. He's not yet won the World Championships, but he has already totaled over 370 4 times, something that Karlos Nasar has not yet done. And that includes a 375 and a 377 kilo world record totals that were then, of course, beaten by Liu moments later. Let's go through the snatches from Lee Dayin at the last international that we saw him at. So this was the Asian Championships. We were fortunate enough to get footage out there. So before this competition, remember, the world record was 173, held by Mohammed Ihab. It was then beaten by Liu Xiaojun at 7-4, and then Lee Dayin hit the 7-5. And the difference in that between him and Karlos Nasar is extraordinary. The speed off the floor, the holding of the angle of the back is much stronger. The height on the bar is much higher. I mean, that is an enormous finish and pull. There we are. Let's take a look at his 72, a 5 kilo jump here. And again, it's going to be similar things. Huge pull, lots of speed. That's a great lift. And then after Liu's 174, which let's just watch quickly because it's such a wonderful lift to watch. We then have Lee Dayin's 175. And this 175 was in competition. It's far more meaningful and impactful than Karlos's 175 at nationals or wherever it was. And you know what? Like I said, he does pull it higher. He's not as fast under, but he does catch the bar way higher and ride it down. There's a few kilos in there, without a doubt, that Lee Dayin has that Karlos Nasar I don't think has. When it comes to the clean and jerk, however, I think things change a little bit. We do have some footage of Lee Dayin from training within the last few days and months, so let's take a look at that as well. The first is a snatch. We've only got up to 160 recently from Lee Dayin, so let's check that out quickly. Shout out to Shenzhen Weightlifting for this one. But it's much of the same. It's much of holding positions, pulling fast off the floor, pulling much higher than Liu Xiaojun or any other 81 does, and catching the weight high. That looks to me like a final warm-up attempt before he comes out of the World Championships. Obviously, Lee Dayin will be looking to win at this Worlds. Great height, very comfortable, doesn't even have to stabilize, just bounces out the hole and comes straight out. We then have a clean and jerk. This is 195. There's 5s and 2.5s on either side of those sets of 10s. And it's exactly the same. The pull is unbelievable. I still think he has the strongest pull in the world in that category for sure. The height's huge. And actually this power jerk looks very good. And we know that he can power jerk a lot because he hit the 206, the 2019 World Championships. He's had 2 years, over 2 years now to progress since then. So if he's in shape and he's not injured like he was at the Asian Championships in the clean and jerk, we know that he can put up something in the mid to high 200s, as in below 210 obviously. So realistically, we're going to have a tremendous battle from those two. There are a couple of other lifters that we should mention. I mean, Brian Rodriguez from Colombia, he's put in the highest entry total at 370 kilos. Entry totals don't mean a huge amount, but you know, maybe they mean something. He took the bronze medal in Thailand at the World Championships 2 years ago. He's totaled 363 kilos 4 times. You must love that number during the qualifying period. He's also hit 367. He hit 370s and 89. So he's not the kind of person who breaks into the 370s like Lee Dayin or like Karlos Nasar probably can, but he's very consistent at those numbers. And then there's Zacharias Bonat from the Dominican Republic, who's put in, for some reason, a really low 330 entry total. He took the silver medal at the Olympics in Tokyo. He hit 367 there, which was made up as it was a 163 and a 204. He hit 363 prior to that at the Pan Am Champs. So again, he's another person who, if he's in good shape, which he may not be, which is maybe why he put in a 330 entry total, I don't know. If he's in good shape, he's someone who can also push kind of towards the 370s. But really, I think it's going to be a two-person race here. It's going to be Lee Dayin versus Karlos Nasar. If Antonio Pizzolato was in the mix, which he's not, he'd be in there. I'm not going to make the call. I don't know who's going to win. No, I was about to make a call. I'm not going to make the call. Let me know who you think is going to win. Is it going to be Karlos Nasar? Is it going to be Lee Dayin? Or is it going to be somebody else? And will Liu Xiaojun be able to return at the Asian Championships in 4 months to reclaim his throne as the king of the 81s?